essences of nature itself.
What a strange person.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
So when maybe you or somebody else creates an AGI system and you get to ask her one question, what would that question be?
What's outside the simulation?
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. Do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family amongst lords of consciousness. I'm the void one.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
All broadcasting from New York, near the Great Lakes upstate. This is Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop, and we're live on KTLK Digital Broadcasting, the Fringe FM. It's Wednesday night, September the 16th. We're going to kick the late night live off in good style. I was just outside, actually, before starting the show, talking to Ryan Gable. And I got to tell you, the coyotes up here sound a lot different than they do down south. You know, it's really hard not to say that, like broadcasting from a shack on the top of a hill and all that. I kind of miss saying it. So I might just not even do that. I might just say welcome, just say howdy and start the show from here on out. Like, because it just doesn't sound right. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I was talking to the guest before the show tonight, our guest, Wendy Halley, who's here with us. I was thinking, I've almost done like 600 episodes of this thing, and I'm still get kind of nervous before the broadcast each time, and I don't know why. And I was like, oh, how am I going to like introduce myself this time? Because I've done it before. I think it sounds cool, right? Broadcasting from New York near the Great Lakes upstate because it rhymes, but then the guy says all the way from the deep south. It is a little strange. The culture here is a little different, but the people here are nice. And I don't know. I feel like, you guys ever feel like you skipped a timeline? You know what I mean? Like you're going down the road and you're doing this life. Like say you lived a life for 10 years, 15 years, whatever. And all of a sudden this big change comes along, and these changes start happening so fast that it causes you uncomfort and discomfort and uncertainty. Yet there's a little bit of excitement there too. Anxiety maybe. I wonder why we change into fear when that happens in our lives. Because when we were children, when that happens, we got this whole big future in front of us, and we have dreams, and we're happy, and it makes us happy thinking about what's going to come in the future. The uncertainty makes us happy because the possibilities are endless. It's like we're all powerful. Every opportunity can happen. There's no doubt in our mind that we could be happy as children. And the older we get, the more misery, the more things that we see, the more programs that get buried into us. We start limiting ourselves, and then we have to go through this wake-up process. I'm telling you, They say the average lifespan's like 74 to 78 or whatever. I feel like I might be going through a midlife crisis, or there could be some real change going on out there. I don't know. I am going to discuss this with our guest tonight, Wendy Halley. If you want to support the show, you can go to Patreon. That's right. Patreon.com/LTV radio, or go to lightingthevoid.com and click on the banner and support us. Stevie, my man, our DJ, one of our DJs other than Chronox, got him a brand new house. Congratulations, brother. We did that sigil magic stuff on the show. I hear the second, I don't know if I should say it, Making Bacon got a fantastic job. The second he is subconscious, forgot about it, and all of a sudden it comes around. Now it looks like a coincidence, but isn't that how it works? Congratulations on your house, Steezy, and good job, Macon. And thank you to all the patrons. And thanks for signing up, Stevie. All right, so let's get this on the road. I don't have any other announcements other than the Fringe Festival, which we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about that as the show goes along, or when we come back from the breaks and stuff. We got the graphics out, too. They're amazing. Wait till you see them. All right, let's do this. So Wendy Halley's here with us. And for 20 years, Wendy has had a foot in two worlds, the clinical world of the psychotherapist and the Dreamtime world of the shaman. And she is the author of several books, including Slaying the Mouse, A True Story of Healing in the Spiritual Realms, and is the host of the Lucid Café podcast and co-host of the satirical podcast Inside the Box with Claire and Wendy. Her unique approach merges ancient and contemporary traditions and is grounded in the idea that we are our own best healers. You can go to our website for reference tonight at lucidpathwellness.com, or also check out the Lucid Café podcast at lucidcafe.transistor.fm. Thanks, Wendy, for coming on the show tonight.
Hey, Joe. Thanks a lot for having me. I'm really psyched to be here.
I'm psyched to have you on here, too, because we were listening, like I was telling you before the break, we were listening to your episode with John Perkins, and he was talking about how perception, it just changes everything. Right? And we talked about that a lot on the broadcast, too, but I wonder just how powerful it is. Like when you think about things like the placebo effect, it sounds so simple, doesn't it? Well, just change your perception. But why do you think? Because you're studying spirituality and you have a science and a little psychology here too. Why do you think it's so dang hard sometimes? Why can't we just do it like, when we scratch our ear or something? That's the way people make it sound, right? It's all on your mind. Just change it.
If only.
Yeah.
No, it's incredibly difficult. I mean, if it was that easy, right, the world would probably be in a much different place. But I think I'm fond of saying that I think human beings are 95 to 99% unconscious when we're awake. That we're just creatures of habit, right? We're just thinking and believing and behaving and reacting in the same ways over and over and over again. So it takes it takes a lot of effort. How to become aware of stuff that you're not aware of? It's tricky stuff.
Yeah, but it is powerful, right?
It's incredibly powerful. The whole idea, I agree. I think perceptions are everything. The tradition I studied, the frame for my or the foundation for my shamanic practice is in Hawaiian or Polynesian philosophy, and one of the main tenets of the philosophy is this very simple but not so simple concept, and the concept is the world is what you think it is. The world is what you think it is. So what does that say to you?
Well, right now the world is kind of crazy. That's the way I think about it. And that you're right, because when I go out there, like in my immediate world, it's peaceful out here. Actually, those coyotes were kind of creepy, but out in the on the news, everything looks crazy. There's fires, there's COVID, there's
it's insane.
Vaccines. Yeah. I don't know.
So yeah, I guess the idea is that your thoughts kind of create your experience of reality, right? So your thoughts act as a filter.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the whole spectrum of experience that you can have, right? From the most horrible, terrible experience all the way to the other side, to the most wonderful, loving experience, and then there's everything in between. That all of those are happening simultaneously, right? But your beliefs, I think, kind of create a filter, and so you're going to filter out all the things that don't kind of fit into your belief system, and so you're just gonna like if you have a really pessimistic outlook, the world is shitty, right? So
Yeah.
that's all you're going to focus on. Your filter is going to focus on just the shit that's shitty.
Right. Yeah.
The shit that's shitty.
That's
You
it.
can quote me on that. But yeah, you'll miss everything else, all the other the
It,
wonderful things too.
yeah. Yeah. Like, you don't focus on, yeah, it is that way. Right. So is it about like changing our focus? I wonder, or is it about sometimes just sitting back and like really listening to everything more? You know what I'm saying? We
Well,
change
yeah,
our
I think
focus, or can we listen to
yeah,
all of it?
I wonder if it's a matter sometimes of trying to identify what it is that you believe to begin with. Like what are the things that are kind of getting in the way of you enjoying your life? Like what beliefs do you have? And I kind of think that we inherit a lot. I call them like ancestral beliefs. These sort of insidious beliefs that are carried carried down from generation to generation, and they're so like they can even be unspoken that
Hmm.
they really color how you see the world. So example might be um, nothing good ever lasts. So you're just always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a
you know,
bad one.
yeah, right. But it's a common one. And so if you have that belief, but you don't even realize you have that belief, then you're constantly going to be walking around the world waiting for the next bad thing to happen. But you may not even be aware that you're doing that. I guess that's the tricky part is how do you become aware of things you're not aware of, like I was saying before?
I honestly am starting to believe that humor might have something, might be the thing. Humor, sarcasm, kind of being able to laugh at things might actually be the trigger to the doorway to letting things go or changing. So what I mean by that is like, all right, so you're this guy that always, every time something good comes in your life, you say, well, that's just too good to be true. And then you have that program, and therefore your reality says, well, he's right. Give him too good to be true, you know? And then you become scared. You're like, well, you become aware that, oh, I'm manifesting my reality. So until I get this out of my mind, I'm never going to be right, and I can't do anything. I might as well not do any of this, because even though it probably isn't too good to be true, I know I'm creating it, and therefore, you start going crazy.
Yeah, well, it sounds like neuroses. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you're so focused on it that you can't. Yeah, that's not a fun way to live either, huh?
No, but I think if you can just laugh at it and just say, what if I'm wrong about all of it? What
I
if
think that's a great idea.
I mean, like, why do I think I know all this stuff just because, do we really have enough experiences to know the truth about this?
It's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah. And then be able to laugh at it. But I don't know, like I believe intuitively about things. I think you have to learn to let certain things go, I guess. So anyways,
I think
yeah.
that's a tall order too. The letting go. Um, I wonder if it comes back to trust.
Oh,
It's kind of
definitely.
just like learning or leaning on the idea that that you're right on schedule, that everything is happening just as it should, even the crappy stuff, and that you have the skills and the strength inside of you to be able to manage no matter what comes your way. Even if I mean, you may have your doubts about it, but the idea is to get back to the thought that, huh, I can trust because I mean, I think we've all had at least one really horrible experience, and we wondered how the hell we were going to get out of that.
Yeah. Right.
And then somehow we get through it. So you can kind of file that away, and then you can lean on that later on in life the next time something really crappy happens. And so trust, how do you know when you can trust something?
That's a good question. I don't know if you ever can. You might have to just trust in yourself, and then trust in. This is what I want to get into, is like in the shamanism thing, because there's a lot of people out there who talk about shamanism, but I like how extensively you go into it on your website and discuss it about shamanic healing and shamanism. I think when people say, well, my higher self, I want to get in touch with my higher self, and I want to learn to listen to it. I think shamanism is doing a good job at allowing us to get to it in different ways, where people might say, well, shamanism is outside the box of religion, but isn't it pretty much like one of the oldest religions on the planet?
I actually don't go down that road. I think you can make it into a religion, but
Well, not a religion, but you know what I'm saying, a practice,
yeah,
a
well,
spiritual
it's a
practice.
spiritual, you could consider it like a spiritual practice or technology, and because of the nature of it. But it's you can add dogma to anything and make it kind of a religion,
Right.
and certainly there are shamanic traditions that do that. But if you just strip it down to its basic practice, it's a really intense form of meditation
Okay.
that's entertaining as hell.
Yeah. So what about psychedelics? Are you down with like the DMT and stuff like that everybody talks about in shamanistic practices? Plant medicines, how about that?
Yeah, I'm a big supporter of psychedelic assisted therapies. I think it's really important to go into that experience with some guidance and a strong intention. I don't see the I don't know if using it recreationally is always the best way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're on the edge with your mental health.
And like if
But
you're having a midlife crisis like me, and you're like, you know what, next week I think I just want to do some mushrooms, right?
Well, you could certainly do that. But I mean, if you do it with intention, and you have somebody kind of helping you go through the experience, then I think you can really take advantage of that experience, and come out of it with a tremendous amount of insight that will hopefully will carry you beyond just like a fun kind of, hey, I went into the woods and laughed a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess not a bad thing either.
No,
but
it's not. It's healing, I think.
But there's also this idea of having respect for the plant, right? And
mm-hmm.
the essence of the plant. And shamanic practice really is all about relationship. It's about being in relationship with the natural world.
Yeah.
Your community, the people around you, and of course yourself. And then if you have a shamanic practice, you're developing a relationship with your allies in the Dreamtime realms, and those allies can take the shape of plant medicines or plant allies.
Talk to me a little bit about that. Allies, are these, when you hear people talk about, I saw this person, or I saw this character that I recognized before, but I really don't know who they are. Are those typical allies, or what do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by allies are just like spirit helpers, the characters that show up when you're in a shamanic trance state, and could be, they could take lots of different forms. They can be ancestors, they can be animal spirits or plant spirits, trees, all kinds of spirits. Yeah, and they they kind of step forward to be of service to you, and then you develop a relationship with them, and they have gifts, and they they all have different sort of I guess, well, I'll just leave it at they have different gifts.
They have different
I don't know
gifts.
what I was about to say. I got a little lost there for a second.
Well, I mean, it's okay. from what I hear about the psychedelic experience, for sure, a lot. I got these guys that do the YouTube channel called Dreamin' Jaguars, and I said, you know what you guys ought to do, man? When you guys get into this state and you're talking to each other, whether you're coming in or out of it, I want to hear what you're talking about. You know, so I got some recordings from Justin and his partner there, and I listened to them talk. They're from England, and it's fascinating. Listen to them trying to explain. You can tell it profoundly affected them, right? Like profoundly. Right. But listening to them trying to put words to it is something else. Because I really think they went somewhere where you can't do that. You know?
Yeah, it is really hard to articulate those experiences. They're so personal. A lot of times they're so intimate, and they're abstract. They can be really abstract. But let me also put out there that I've actually I don't have psychedelic experiences. I mean, I've never had any, except for one. I did try Salvia divinorum once.
Ooh, okay.
But other than that, I've never done any psychedelics.
But you do believe in, like, do you think that they're good? They're purposeful. I think
absolutely,
yeah. Especially like spores and stuff. They've already looked into the studies on that, how it's helping people with post-traumatic stress and things like that. And I really feel like the last time I had a psychedelic experience was with LSD. I think I was like 22, 23, something, I don't know. But I do remember that it completely changed my life. I'm not playing when I say that. Like, it just, I was one person when I went in, and then when I got done, I was a totally different person. And when I say different, I mean, my mind was more open. I was more loving and understanding. And I don't even think in like a flower child type of way, more of in a curiosity type of sense, where like everything I knew wasn't really what I knew. And it made me happy for some reason, you know?
No, it makes perfect sense. And that's what I think is compelling about a shamanic experience. And you can consider that a shamanic experience, to me, a psychedelic experience, because you're traveling from one reality, the physical reality, to another reality, you could say. And when you have that experience, it's yours. It's an intimate, personal, direct experience. And when you have an experience like that, it can transform you. And it's not like reading a book about somebody's experience. You're actually having the experience. It's not an intellectual process, is I guess what I'm trying to say. It's a full experience on every level.
And so, okay. So I want to get deep into this. I love talking about this stuff because I got another guy that comes on, Frankie Fearless from, I Am, We Are Fearless. And I don't even have to say anything, right? I can bring him on the show and I'm like, what's up, Frank? Right. And just let him talk.
And he just goes off.
Oh man. Yeah. And he goes on and on and on and on. And he can describe, just hearing him trying to describe everything, space Jesus, the fact that we're within ourselves, and we are it, and then he just keeps, it's so awesome listening to him talk about it though. And it's like, why are we all not doing this? Why are we all not like trying to get to that level? And I'm not saying everybody, do ayahuasca or have a psychedelic experience, but why are we all not wanting to be at that level of understanding and curiosity at the same time?
It's a great question. Another great question
that you just don't have the answer for, right?
Well, my not so secret wish is that everyone become their own shaman. I mean, not necessarily learn how to do healing techniques, but just learn the technique of being able to alter your consciousness and travel to these other realms and get to know yourself in these really deep ways. It's very powerful.
Now you can do that without the psychedelic experience?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. See, that's what that's what we're definitely going to talk about when we come back after this break. For sure. We'll be right back, guys. Stay with us for more Lighting the Void coming up.
Hi, I'm Dave Cruz, host of the paranormal media show Beyond the Strange. Over the past 5 years, Beyond the Strange has interviewed numerous witnesses to the paranormal, such as UFO abduction, alien aircraft, ghosts, and spiritual visitations, Bigfoot, and other cryptids. Also, Beyond the Strange has interviewed famous researchers and authors that have shared their experiences of the strange and the bizarre. Visit www.beyondthestrange.com for more information about the show, schedules, guests, and chat. Beyond the Strange airs Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 Eastern, right here on the KTLK Digital Broadcasting Network, The Fringe FM. And remember, always stay strange.
Sure, you have a great product, but did you know thousands of times a day advertisers try to get in your head and you really don't remember the product or the service? The Draw Shop knows your message needs to be watched and understood to convert viewers into buyers. The Draw Shop produces powerful, animated, and affordable videos. Single-person businesses working out of a converted garage to Fortune 500 companies have used the Draw Shop to make videos that are impossible to be misunderstood. Whiteboard animated videos turn viewers into buyers and believers using proven neuroscience, psychology, and highly refined marketing knowledge. Viewers take action. And with a compelling animated video from the Draw Shop, conversions are 3 to 5 times the national average. The Draw Shop. Call 844-619-3729 or visit thedrawshop.com. That's thedrawshop.com.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you're interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
Hey, this is Amalia from Know the Self Mystery School. I know that you are in the midst of massive change. We all are. This is the great turning, the time that we all decided to be here on the planet. Do you know why you came here to be a part of this crazy time? If not, I invite you to join my mystery school. I have a 9-week course called Activate Your Mission. And in this course, you're going to learn how to erect crystal clear boundaries so that you can hear that inner still voice that's going to guide your every move. Even if you're dealing with feeling weighed down by obligations and being enslaved to the system, this course is going to give you the tools you need to illuminate your shadow and awaken to your soul's mission. The moment you sign up to the school, you are going to be greeted by not only a group of soulful spiritual warriors, but you're also going to get some massive karmic clearings, and you're going to feel the energy. It's palpable. I hope you'll join me in the school where together we're going to unlock your divine mission.
Activate your mission by going to thefringe.fm/soul mission and put in the code word FRINGE and receive $50 off today.
This is Jason Lindgren from Crow 777 Radio, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
The Secret Teachings is the middle ground between the mainstream and alternative, between the official story and clickbait conspiracy. It lies between man's lack of critical thinking and his acknowledgement of discovering the patterns of nature. This is a radio show of objective analysis, from the occult to pop conspiracy and health. A show we call The Secret Teachings. You can catch the broadcast Monday through Friday on the Fringe FM, thefringe.fm, and www.thesecretteachings.info.
Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. So you just got through hearing Ryan Gable. That show comes on right after this broadcast, Monday through Friday night. The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. It comes on at 2 a.m. Eastern Time, 11 Pacific. A little different going on at midnight each night. Our guest tonight, Wendy Hale. I say your name right? Halley.
Halley.
Why do I keep thinking Hale? I don't know. I said that's why I asked you before the broadcast. I was like, "Well, how do you pronounce your name?" Because you know how like your mind will say it'll keep saying something over and over again, no matter how many times somebody tells you something. I hate that.
Totally. Yeah, I know it's a drag.
And I heard your name too before I even asked you. So
it's Halley. Yeah, you can call me whatever though. I'll answer to whatever.
Halley, Wendy Halley. That's a cool name, Wendy
Thanks.
Halley. All right, so let's get down to brass tacks here. How do you get to these states, these altered states, without, doing
without any assistance, without any substances?
Right.
Well, the safest, easiest way is sound.
Really?
So it's what I use now, although I don't always need it anymore because I've been doing this for so long. I kind of have sort of a little bit of access almost probably all the time. It's right there. But the sound I use, and it's kind of universal around the world, is a drum beat or a rattle beat that's 5 to 7 beats per second, and or 4 to 7 beats per second, which is like 4 to 7 hertz, and puts you into a dominant theta brainwave. So when you're asleep and in theta, you're dreaming, and when you're awake and in theta, you're visioning. So that's how I started learning how to do it intentionally, is with the drum beat.
Ah, okay. Yeah, so the drum beat is different. I'm used to things like hemisync or listening to binaural beats, but the drum beat you're saying does something. See, I knew there was something to that. I knew it.
Yeah. No, it's old medicine for sure.
So can you beat on your own drum and get to this state, or do you have to have somebody else beat on a drum, or what? How does that work?
Now I can. In the beginning, no, I wouldn't be able to hold the rhythm because it would be too distracting, and I would lose it, trying to split my attention in two different directions. Because the whole practice is really it's a discipline. So you have to kind of really learn how to focus. It's so the focus is so intense that you can easily get distracted. Yeah.
I used to do that at rave parties, but I think I was on acid then too. So, get into the beat, how they have the hard, doof, doof, there's something about the beat,
yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But I know there's something about like that music or the beat or the sound of the music that causes some type of, I don't know how to explain it, sacred feeling. And then you can see a tribal energy begin to happen. In other words, what I'm saying is, like, I don't know how different it is, but like at a rave scene, when you have a DJ and they're playing some kind of house music and it's 3 a.m. and half everybody's on ecstasy and the other half aren't, it doesn't really matter. What
Right.
matters is it's like you notice the beat, and people, they like this build up to the beat, and then they like to hear the beat drop, and then they all start. I was sitting on these like steps one time, looking over the crowd at a rave party, and you can see how they all start kind of moving in unison, like in a wave, right? And maybe my mind was putting it all together, or I don't know, but it sure did feel like to me that there was something to the music itself and the beat that was bringing everyone's energy together in the same fashion.
Well, what do you think? Yeah, indigenous people have been doing for thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
Is banging on drums in unison and chanting and dancing.
Yeah.
And going into altered states, right? So kind of like that was the early rave, I guess.
Yeah, the early rave parties. That's a really good way to put it, right? Because if we're right about the fact that we live in this state in the physical realm of separation, and that the separation is the only thing that keeps us from love, and it's the only thing that keeps us in a state of suffering. Things like music, beats, sound, stuff like that brings us all together. It makes sense to me. I'm afraid I'm going to say something stupid, but it makes total sense to me in my mind right now. You know?
It makes perfect sense to me too. Yeah, absolutely. And if you add the natural world to that, then you got a perfect mix, I think, because that's another unifying thing, that because everybody, when they have the opportunity to spend some time with some trees or next to some water or something, that it also kind of alters you. You go into this very relaxed, peaceful place.
Yeah.
And if you're doing all that outside, is what I'm saying, it's good stuff.
That's why I like to play golf, because it feels like I'm in nature, I think.
Well, unless you're doing indoor golf, then you wouldn't be. Right?
No, but you have to do a little ritual before you hit the driver every time. That's kind of like shamanism, right? You do a little ritual.
Yeah. Or superstition, right? Is that if you don't do the ritual, do you feel like you're going to fuck up your
I feel like, well, it's too late. I'm supposed to hit the red button on F-bombs, but you got a point there.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's fine. But do I feel like I'm going to F up? You know what? I do. That's the point. That's going back to the mind thing again. It's right before I hit the ball, right before the club hits the ball. It's like, did I do the ritual? Wink. Nope, I didn't. There it goes. Right. Like, so you sliced it. But if you, for some reason, when you set in and you do that little ritual, and it's like a moving meditation that calms you down, and you get in the field, and then you step up to hit the ball, you just have more control, but you're kind of letting go at the same time.
But that also kind of ties back into the concept of the world is what you think it is, right? So if you believe that you have to do that ritual in order to hit well, then there you go. There's
the belief factor, right? The
exactly,
placebo.
that's attached to the behavior.
Well, then if you do, so I'm on your website at lucidpathwellness.com, and the first thing that you come to the menu there is like energy medicine, and you got this really cool room that you're talking about, energy genesis, healing with light and sound. I'm trying to figure out at what point does the healing happen. And just bear with me. I want to know what you think about this. So, say a person has some like depression, or some deep emotional trauma or something like that, and they go into a room like this, and they start having an energetic session with light and sound. What do you believe is actually taking place biologically or neurologically in the brain or whatever? Is that where the healing takes place? Is it emotionally? Like, I'm trying to figure out the real analytical stuff here, like, where does it take place? Is it just because you feel peace and you decide that it's gone? Because this stuff doesn't really make sense to me how it leaves sometimes.
Okay. So what you're referencing is on my website, there are two different kind of subjects, two different modalities that I offer at my wellness center, and one of them is called the energy genesis. It's a vibrational medicine or energy medicine modality. It's a huge chamber that uses light and sound, and what the research has shown is happening to you when you're inside the chamber is that your autonomic nervous system is starting to reset and balance, and then your body goes into self-healing mode. And so you start healing on the physical level, the emotional level, and then toxins start off-gassing from your cells too. So you have to drink a lot of water after your session. But the thing to keep in mind is that the chamber itself isn't doing anything other than creating this environment that's optimal for self-healing. So like when you're sick and you want to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically your body wanting to go into self-healing mode. So that's what this chamber does, is it puts you into a really deeply relaxed state and an altered state so that your body can start healing itself.
Gotcha.
And that's what I love about it, is because it you don't need a diagnosis, you don't need any human intervention. It's just you and these frequencies, and your body uses them. Your body's wisdom kicks in and starts doing its thing. And
So it's all
and
about
it
the actual rest and relaxation that you go into. I
yeah,
gotcha.
that's I love that thing.
Yeah, it's really
I
cool
was just
looking.
I know it's a trip. I was in it yesterday having a session. Um yeah, so that's healing on the energetic level, and which to me is very different than healing on the shamanic level. And if you want me to kind of describe what I think the difference is, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, please.
You want me to? Okay.
Hmm.
So to me, um, when I'm kind of an outlier, probably in a lot of ways with my shamanic practice. Over the years, I've come to some conclusions that seem to not necessarily mesh with a lot of my shamanic practitioner colleagues. So to me, when I'm in an altered state and connecting with someone um, in the dream time, in other words, I'm having this waking dream to do healing work. I'm working at the level of consciousness, or specifically, I should say, the unconscious. So there are patterns that are playing out in your unconscious, right? And the when I'm in a shamanic trance, I am going into the dreaming, which basically, to me, the dreaming realm is consciousness. So I am seeing the symbolic representation of those narratives that are playing out within someone. So let's say somebody's struggling with low self-esteem. I will see a storyline playing out where an aspect of that person is kind of stuck in this narrative that is reinforcing a lack of belief in themselves.
Hmm.
And so me and my invisible friends, my spirit allies, my spirit helpers, whatever you want to call them, will step into that narrative, and they'll start actually interacting directly with that narrative, and they'll change it. So like I might see, because it's a dream, I'll see symbols. I might see symbols that represent negative belief systems or emotional stuckness or trauma. And my allies will step into that narrative, like I said, and they will start changing the narrative. So they'll take elements out that aren't serving that person. And that's called extraction. And they may rearrange things, but a big hallmark of shamanic healing is power augmentation. It's reconnecting you with personal power. I think
Awesome.
if you've been on the planet more than 2 weeks, I think you start losing power. We give it away to other people unconsciously. We lose it because of stuff that happens to us. So by the time we're adults, we all have varying degrees of power loss. So the power comes in the form of these symbols, and they could show up as power animals. They could show up as nature spirits. They could show up as allies to help the person working with. But anyway, all of this is happening at the level of consciousness, and then the energy genesis, the healing chamber, is working at the level of energy, which is different. I see them as separate, and a lot of people would probably argue with that and say that that's not the case, that energy is everything. And I do believe energy is everything in the physical universe, but when we're talking about the dream time, that's out of the physical universe. That's a different place. So the dream time, the indigenous people would say that everything is created out of the dream time, and then it trickles, that intention in the dream time goes into the energetic realm and starts to gather mass, and then that mass pops out into the physical as an experience or an object or whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah, actually it does, because because I've studied Western Kabbalah or Hermeticism, and that when you look at, or even kosher Kabbalah, that kind of sounds like when things come down from the top of the tree, like Kether, and they have 4 different worlds that things manifest down into, all the way down to the foundation of what they call the lunar world or the dream world, or that's the world of symbols and blueprints and all that stuff before it actually gets to the physical world. Yeah, it does make sense. It seems like
yeah, that sounds very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, it all sounds pretty similar. Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah. So yeah, the healing chamber, the energy medicine is working at the level of frequency, right?
Okay.
So and consciousness is working at the level of symbolism.
Cool. Yeah, and this is an ancient technology. This is when I hear the word technology, people think iPhones and Neuralink, stuff like that. But this is the technology that I believe the ancients used. This stuff that made dynasties last 3,000 or more years. I don't know. I honestly feel, I guess I'm superstitious, but I feel like humans weren't designed to only live 100 years and die. I think we just kind of depleted ourselves in a lot of different ways to that point. Because I'm one of those, I get pretty sappy about it, but I love the earth and I love life, and I think that there's some kind of divine plan to have everlasting life on earth, or a better place, or a utopia, or whatever. People can call me silly, but I honestly think that and I keep repeating this, that consciousness or the universe is trying to perpetuate life and make sure that it protects it and keeps it thriving for some reason, to keep becoming something greater. I mean, because we're already, in a sense, evolved, at least intelligently and morally. People don't believe that, but we actually have over time.
We're working on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So it's trying to do something, right? Like it would seem that way. It's trying to create something.
Yeah, coming to the earth, I think is quite a gift. And I mean, I can throw, from my perspective, my experience, the part of us that decides to come here to incarnate on the planet is not human, and gets very excited about the idea of being on this planet, which is not an easy planet to be on. There's a lot of suffering, as we're all aware. But to experience the exquisite nature that we have on this planet, it's just astoundingly beautiful. And to have these really dense physical experiences where we can, like we were talking before, experience music and food and sex and all kinds of things that are really
That's your top 3?
Well, those are the things that I think.
But no, I get what you're saying. Like
specific to me.
But you got art, sunsets. You got all kinds of all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's a really cool experience, even though most of us, while we're in it, don't always feel like it's a cool experience, because we're in the midst of a lot of suffering, and would not like the idea, maybe, or reject the idea that we chose to come here, especially under the circumstances that we chose to come here under.
It'd be like, it's because it's all like Saturday Night Live say it's the devil. That's what made you do it, and then you're gonna die and go to heaven. That's what I was, or actually I was brought up, you're gonna die and go to hell if you don't straighten up. And so that was my point at the beginning of the opening of the show, is like, when we're kids, man, when we're outside playing with each other and just having fun, we start thinking about the future and what we're going to grow up and become. And we welcome, possible. Yeah, we welcome change. We like it. And time is so slow when you're that small. Remember how long a year was when you're that small?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's so slow. And then now it's like time, it goes really fast, and we want to get as much comfort as possible. We don't want nothing to change. And yet we wonder why we're all upset because we don't. You're right. We should be like okay in any situation and be like, yeah, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm pretty sure I can handle myself. Like you were talking about earlier, you know?
Right. And I think, I mean, I wonder if where we get tripped up is when we start, when our brain, our ability to have abstract thought really starts to kick in, and we start developing a sense of self, usually around, age 6, 7, 8 years old. And then we start developing our cerebral side, our cognitive side. And that's when things can get very complicated. And we can mess with ourselves.
I blame it on the education system, the government, and religion. I blame it on all that stuff, man. Because you put a kid in a school and they're like, "Well, you do this, line up, and why are you wearing those pants? And don't do that. And you should do this." And you just came from sharpening a stick on a piece of concrete. Now you got to think about all this stuff that you're not good enough for somebody else or something. Society.
It's not fair, is it?
Nope.
It's wrong.
I was waiting on the bus and I sharpened the stick and made a spear out of it. That's really cool. And you get on the bus and next thing you know, it's Judgy McJudgy. And then you got, the radio coming on telling you how to live and everything. And then your parents riding you. And it's like, what happened, man? What is this? It's a trap, and then you don't know what to do.
No, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
And then here we are, years later, complaining about it on the radio.
Right. It was like, I've got to do psychedelics or something. Take me back to that spot.
And with that childlike place.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what happens when you get older. I don't even know if, say when you get older, because there's really a lot of advanced, I would say spiritually advanced young people too, for sure. But I think it's more about, sometimes I wonder if we make spirituality to be out like this, 14th dimension in the realm of Zeta Reticuli place, when it could just be, well, you know what I'm saying, but it could just be, that stuff definitely exists, right? But it could just be being who you are, being that kid.
Right. Kids are really good at like shamanic journeying. It just is natural. I mean, when you were a kid, when you were pretending it was real, right?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And kids are really good at that just naturally. It's not until we get into our heads that we get away from that. And that's what I find when I'm teaching people how to access these realms, that's the biggest challenge, is getting out of your head, right? And that's true with the whole mindfulness movement, is trying to teach people to not get attached to their thoughts, their many, many, many thoughts.
Yeah. Yep. It's torturous.
Damn brain. Yeah, I know.
I remember watching Clockwork Orange, and that was the. Have you ever seen that movie? Don't watch it if you seen it, didn't you?
I've seen clips from it. I don't know if I've seen the whole thing. I have movie amnesia.
So the one thing that you can count on in life is that you can shut your eyes, right? Like even if you saw the most horrific thing, you could be like, okay, I can shut my eyes and pretend it's not there. I can go to my happy place. But not in this movie. They hold your eyes open and force you to look at like pictures. You can't even shut your eyes.
That's the scene I did see. Yes, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's what it feels like sometimes on this earth. Like you're just getting crap forced down in your consciousness and you can't even hide from it sometimes.
Damn, brother, that sounds like torture.
It does, and if you know why, because we don't go out in nature anymore. That's why.
That's right. That's right. It's the original lie we started telling ourselves many hundreds of years ago, that we are separate from nature.
Right on. You know what? We're already at the top of the hour. Look, we'll open the phones up too if you guys want to tell a story. We'll get more into this a little deeper too. And then the phone number is 1-800-588-0335. The website for reference is lucidpathwellness.com. We'll be right back. You guys stay with us. More Lighting the Void coming up.
Hey, this is No Way Jose, a Northern California Piscean stuck in the Arizona desert. I'm a void walker, and I got the shoes to prove it. So what do I do when my soul yearns to delve deep into the realm of the unknown? I aim my satellite straight into the night sky and catch a smooth ride on the KTLK-DB radio waves. I tune into Lighting the Void with Joe Root on the Fringe FM.
Joe, Lighting the Void is the best show on the planet. This is Barney, your friend from Facebook. Thank you and all the crew for all you do. Namaste, my friend.
This is Macon from the foothills of North Carolina, and I am a void walker.
G'day, void walkers. This is Lily from down under Australia. The world may be small, the enigma is greater. So let your curiosity take you for a journey with Joe Root.
Hey, this is V, coming in from Central Maryland, and I am a void walker.
This is Kevin Doherty, a beginner void walker. I'm from Vancouver, BC. I know a little about a lot, and as Leonard Skinner said, I'll guess the rest. I learned a lot from Mr. Root in the show, and I heard it from the beginning. I knew right then he was going to be a new Art Bell. Thanks for all your shows, and keep it up.
Hey, this is Derek from Mass, a.k.a. the Night Stalker, and I'm a void walker.
This is Mark from Chicago, and I walk the void to ascertain what is consciousness.
My name is Jared Johnson, and I'm from Humboldt County, California. I do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm a void walker. Thanks, Joe Root.
What you believe might not be. Step into the zone of the vast unknown. UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, conspiracies and cover-ups. Into the paranormal we go.
I'm Jeremy Scott. Travel with me into the paranormal. Live Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, here on the Fringe FM.
This is Dan Lopez with Spiritual Warrior Today Radio, and when I'm battling demons, I listen to Lighting the Void with my man Joe Root right here on thefringe.fm.
Have you suffered in silence or experienced stress from a paranormal experience? Even if it happened 20 years ago, when thinking or talking about it today still makes you feel sick to your stomach or makes your heart beat faster, or you suddenly can't breathe. Maybe you even feel those old familiar signs of a panic attack trying to reach the surface. You could have unprocessed emotional responses. Those reactions of terror and trauma are no different than living through a horrible assault, childhood abuse, or a terrible car accident. It can be nearly impossible to find help. The very instance of seeing a ghost or encountering a cryptid could be clinically described as seeing or hearing things that aren't there. You could be considered psychotic, or at best, you're just not taken seriously. Out of a growing mountain of research, the National Institute for Integrative Healthcare showed that 8 out of 10 veterans who completed just 6 one-hour EFT sessions no longer tested positive for PTSD. If you've had paranormal trauma, you can contact Metaphorical Archaeology by calling 214-995-3754. Again, that's 214-995-3754 for a discreet consultation.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Alex Exum.
My name is Alex Exum, and I host Live Talk here on the Fringe FM. If you're sick of hearing about COVID-19, I invite you to listen to my show, 7 p.m. Pacific, Tuesday nights, for a COVID-free zone. We will not be talking about the C word. We discuss news, society, and culture, but not COVID-19. Go listen to the other fearmongers if you want to hear that nonsense.
Joseph Roop is your host. Pull back the blinds and uncover the truth. This is Lighting the Void Radio.
This is the Rogie Report news on the Fringe FM. I'm Jess Rogie. The city of Portland, Oregon banned the use of facial recognition technology. Portland joins a growing number of cities in the United States that have outlawed the use of surveillance technology. Artificial intelligence researchers and civil rights groups are worried about the accuracy and bias in facial recognition systems. The concern is the effectiveness of correctly recognizing people of color and women. Japan is joining in on UAP identification. The Japanese military has been given instructions to record and report sightings of unidentified aerial objects, which could pose a potential threat to the country's security. The Japanese Minister for Defense issued instructions following the U.S.'s DoD's founding of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. Every news report I report on things I never thought I'd be reporting on, and today, it's autonomous ships. Testing has begun on an autonomous ship called the Mayflower. The solar-powered research boat will aim to cross the Atlantic next year with no humans aboard. The Mayflower will be officially unveiled on September 16th, the 400th anniversary of the Mayflower's departure. And during its transatlantic crossing, the super-modern ship will retrace the Mayflower's original route from Plymouth to Cape Cod. Modern technology helps find an ancient buried site. The U.S. is not typically known for ancient discoveries. However, a team of archaeologists flew high-tech drones over Kansas, revealing circular earthwork thought to be linked to a famous indigenous site known as Encinoa. Located in present-day Arkansas City, Kansas, near the Arkansas River, the ancient circular-shaped ditch measured 50 meters wide and approximately 2 meters thick. 2020 has not only been an exciting year for UFO sightings, but also the sightings of the Loch Ness Monster. Recently, a tourist claimed he had spotted the Loch Ness Monster while on holiday with his family. This is the 7th official sighting this year. The tourist recorded the dark object near Point Claire on August 29th. And earlier this year, a fireman recorded the 6th sighting of the Loch Ness Monster. So maybe 2020 is not the year of the UFO, but the year of the Loch Ness. This is the Rogie Report news on the Fringe FM. I'm Jess Rogie.
Message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS T-Drift. Okay, nice. Good orbit.
The first message that comes to you is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
And welcome back to Lighting the Void. Man, I almost locked myself out of the studio. Tonight, we're talking about shamanism, energy healing, and we're going to get into the out-of-body experience, the astral travel, of course. That's our favorite subject on this show. So if you want to call in, it's 1-800-588-0335. That's always the call-in number. Lock it into your phone so you'd never forget that. And it is going to be probably the number that you can use for a long time. I do want to say again that I appreciate everybody's patience as we make the transition into the new studio rack here. So you might hear something that don't make sense, but we're diligently working on it. The apps should be out by the end of the week, the new Fringe FM apps. And yeah, everything's coming along just fine. We're also going to be on Apple CarPlay, and the new apps, be on the lookout for them too, because they're going to have some features that the old apps didn't have. Our old app was just kind of playing for the network. It really didn't do much, but this one is going to have a thing where you can leave recordings and shout outs. There's a chat room and push messaging interaction. So it's going to be all kinds of fun stuff. So, you know, technology is a good thing sometimes, right? So we're going to have that. Also, if you used Alexa, you'll notice that the old one's going to disappear, and then there's going to be a new one. We had to redo that too. So yeah. All right. Our guest tonight, Wendy Halley from lucidpathwellness.com, is here with us. Also the host of a really cool podcast, Lucid Café podcast. And we're going to get a little deeper into the second hour about consciousness. Again, thanks for coming on the broadcast. I love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, me too.
So why did you, get into this to begin with? You know, usually people start out the show like that. So did this start to happen when you was a child or what? But I usually really don't ask that question until I get answers like you've been giving me. Now I'm really curious about that. I want to know how
it all started.
Into it? Yeah.
Well, I think I did have these connections when I was a child. I had invisible friends, and they ended up resurfacing after I started having visionary experiences. So it was back in 1998, way back.
19, that's hard to believe that was way back, right? But it is.
It's way back. I know, it's kind of way back now. Now that we live way in the future.
Yeah.
We're in,
oh, crap.
Yeah, Jetsons territory.
How old were you in 1998?
Oh, shit.
Wait, that's a bad question, isn't it? Sorry.
No, I'm trying to remember. It was, what was I, 32?
32.
No,
okay.
33. 33, yeah. So yeah, it was 1998. I was several years out of graduate school where I had studied clinical psychology, and I had my first spontaneous visionary experience. It was a very trippy experience. It was a Saturday morning. I was awakened by the sound of my neighbor. He was mowing his lawn. And the thing that sucked about that is that it was when I opened my eyes, and I have really bad eyesight, so I was just kind of squinting to see the numbers on the digital clock, and it read like 7:57. I remember that. And I was mad. I was pissed because there should be a law against mowing your lawn that early in the morning. You shouldn't be able to do that.
9 o'clock? No, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a Saturday morning. So I could also hear his kids laughing and playing, and they were having a great time, but I was like determined to get back to sleep and take advantage of my Saturday morning. So I closed my eyes, and I was, when I closed my eyes, I was looking out of the eyes of someone else.
What?
And yep. And this was a person I didn't know. She didn't seem familiar. She didn't feel familiar. She was being escorted down this industrial like hallway. It had a lot of the, like the linoleum flooring and the fluorescent lights. and I look down, and she's in shackles, and she's wearing kind of like a hospital, it's like scrubs almost. And on either side of her, she's being escorted by these guards. And I have access to her thoughts and her feelings, well, some of her thoughts and her feelings. And I know at that point that she's being escorted to her execution.
I was just thinking that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I looked down, and I saw that she's Caucasian, and I know she's really young. I can feel how young she is. And her hair was messy and kind of long. And then I was I could feel her fear, but there was also, I could feel that there was something wrong with her, like emotionally she felt really flat, other than the fear, but she felt like
kind of numb.
I don't know, yeah, well, kind of numb, but also like some distance from her, like she had a flat affect, like maybe there was some mental health kind of issues with her. And so I'm having this experience, and I'm thinking that my logical mind is kicking in and saying, like, am I dreaming? And then I would kind of check out of that experience, and I would come back to my bedroom, and and I'd hear the lawnmower, and I'd hear the kids playing, and I'd see the light from the sunlight coming in my bedroom window, and I'm like, no, I'm definitely awake. And then I would close my eyes again, and I would be a little bit farther along in linear time, and now I'm farther down the hallway, and she's walking past this. There's a window that looks into another room, and I see people in there, and then I do the same thing. I'm like, what the hell? I accessed one of her memories, and I saw her saying goodbye to somebody.
Oh my gosh!
And this person didn't look familiar to me, but you know how when you're dreaming, your mind will morph a person's face into somebody familiar.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, his face turned into a guy I knew at Kung Fu, and so because it kind of looked like him, but it wasn't him, so I made him into Lloyd. And so she's saying this guy is like really upset as he's saying goodbye to her because he knows it's the last time he's going to see her. And she feels absolutely flat, like there's nothing there. It's really wild. And at that point I pull back out again and just check, and am I dreaming? What this is, because it's just really strange. And then when I check back in again, she was being I'm now I'm in her body, but I'm sitting in a chair, and her arms and her legs are being strapped down, and so it's going to be the electric chair, that the way she dies.
Is your heart speeding up at this time? Are you feeling really scared, or what? Or you're still feeling nothing?
Well, I was just intrigued. I felt like kind of a vicarious hitchhiker in the whole experience. I was more intrigued than scared. I was also just kind of like curious, like what is this about? I've never had an experience like this before. So, I mean, fast forward, I went through the whole death experience with her, and popped out, like the moment the energy coursed, the electricity coursed through her body, she popped out of the top of her head. Her essence did, and I went with her. And so we're looking down, and then I hear this really, really guttural sound. It was like, just didn't sound human, come out of her body as it was dying.
Whoa, like almost like a monster's guttural sound, or
it was just some kind of reflexive, like pain, I guess, just as this huge amount of energy or electricity, like I said, was going through her body.
Yeah,
it was crazy. And then I look up, and I'm in this vast place that's like bright darkness. And I I remember saying to myself, "Did I just die?"
Oh no.
Sort of.
Yeah.
I knew I physically didn't die, but I was just but I was, you know, being a
But you
little.
went on that ride with somebody that
Yeah,
died.
yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of went with her, and then I was like, "Okay, so where's that light? You're supposed to see a light, right?" And in the moment I said that, over on the left on this horizon was this really bright diamond of light, and the edges made like or the points of the diamond made sort of a line on the horizon. And I knew that I couldn't go over there, but that she would have to go over there. And then when I came back into my body after that, I couldn't move it. And that's when I got a little freaked out. I couldn't move my body. And so I just sort of calmed myself down and slowly moved a finger. And then I was like, okay, I got this. And then started moving the rest of my body eventually.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
when I looked at the clock, it was like 8:04. So all of this stuff had happened in this really short period of time. And that was
Wow.
my first experience, and I didn't tell anybody about it. Because
Is this the first time you talked about it?
oh, no, I've talked about it. I was just saying
Oh, you didn't
at
tell
that
anybody about
time.
it then, for sure.
No, because I was like, yeah, I was a licensed mental health clinician and pretty new
Yeah.
at it, and according to Western psychological standards, I was delusional. I was seeing and hearing things that weren't there. So, of course, I only told my now husband, John, about it, and he thought it was cool. But
Why do you? I
but
wonder what happened there. What do you have a theory now based on what you know? What was going on?
that one I'm not quite sure about. That first experience, I'm not quite sure why I had that particular experience. It's kind of a mystery.
But after that, that's when you really started focusing on trying to figure out these
No,
realms or
no,
whatever.
I just no, I just tucked that experience away and just wrote it off as a really cool kind of one-time event. But then fast forward a few more months, and I decided I wanted to teach some workshops, and I was living in Denver while this was all going on
Mhm.
at the time. And I went to this center because they offered workshop space, and I was going to see if I could rent it. And I said, "What do you guys do here?" And they said, "Oh, we have a shaman." And very uncharacteristically, I said, "Sign me up for a session."
Just
And
out of curiosity, right?
yeah, I don't know, it just kind of the words just came out of my mouth, and I couldn't afford to see the shaman, but I went and had a session with her apprentice, and was on her table, and she started burning sage and then started rattling, and I started um, smelling hair burning, and then she did too, but there was no hair burning. And
What?
and at that point my throat started to close up, and I started having another visionary experience, but this time it felt very familiar. I knew the person that I was connecting with, and it was this one felt like, and I buy into the idea that we have uh, many lifetimes, so reincarnation. So I was accessing a another life that I had lived, and this was a really unsavory guy that I'm not terribly proud of, but he was a
A guy that you dated that you turned out to be something you didn't like, or is that what you're
no,
saying?
no, this was me. It was me. I was
Oh,
this guy in
okay,
another
okay.
lifetime. I wasn't.
But you're
Yeah, I
saying
wasn't.
you knew who it was, right?
Yeah, he
So,
was familiar to me, whereas the woman who was being
gotcha. Okay.
electrocuted didn't seem familiar to me at all. I didn't have any connection to her. But this guy, I was like, oh, damn. Okay.
What did he do? Can you tell me, like,
Yeah,
anything?
he was hiding, and so I was in his body now, um, going through his experience, reliving this experience, and he was hiding. It was nighttime, and he was hiding in the shadow behind this large rock, and there were guards coming after him, and because he had done something, and then I accessed his memories, And what I found out is that he had, and I didn't know that cats were revered in ancient Egypt. And what he had done is he had killed a cat and drank its blood to try to be immortal.
Oh my God.
I know. And so he's a scrawny guy. He was apparently large ego. And the guards caught him and brought him out deeper into the desert, and we're talking to him about, like, well, you want to be treated like royalty? All right, we're going to give you the burial of a king. And they dug a shallow grave, and they stuck a scarab in his throat, and then I started choking again. Just
oh my God. So at that, like were you feeling this time scared, or were you still just curious?
Yeah, well, when my throat was closing up, yeah, because I was having a really difficult time breathing in the physical realm. My body was reacting as if it was happening, and but I got through that. But here's a little interesting side note: is that for years and years and years, I've had a recurring, at that time I had had a recurring dream of choking, where I would wake up maybe three times a week with my hands in my mouth trying to dislodge some item that I dreamed I was choking. And it would, like, I would wake up, and every single time I felt like it was real, like I was actually choking.
Wow. Okay.
And I have to kind of talk myself out of it, like, all right. And then so I have this visionary experience where I'm choking again, and then he dies, and go through that death experience with him. And then the next time I went, I was on this apprentice's table. The same thing happened, only this time it was a different person. And this time I was a young slave girl in the South.
All right. So let's, I want to hear this story, but let's take this phone caller, and oh my God.
Oh, okay.
This is insane. Okay. 301, you're on the air with Wendy Halley. Who are we speaking with? That's you. Who are we speaking with? 301 area code. You're on the air. Going once. I guess. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, they can hear me. Hold on. I think you're trying to talk, but it's not coming through. But I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you there? All right. Anyway, so I'll let them go. So you're an apprentice of tell me, start with that one again.
I was having a session with the shamanic apprentice, the shaman's apprentice.
All right.
And I was on her table again, and she started rattling and drumming and stuff. And I started going into another visionary experience. And this time I was in the body of a young slave girl in the South. And I was chasing a cat through the house where we were slaves. And this cat jumped up, went through one room into another kind of formal dining room, jumped up onto a table that had a lantern on it, and knocked the lantern over. The kerosene spilled, and then flames went up these really heavy drapes, and then the room just quickly went up into flames, and smoke filled the room. And then I started choking again. My throat closed up from the smoke inhalation. And so I ended up going through the death experience with her as well. And so the interesting thing was, the common theme there is the cat. And so I took the cat's life in that first lifetime that I had the experience with, and then the cat took my life after that.
What in the... So did you figure this out? Okay. So you're going through these past lives. We got choking, stabbings, and cats, right? Did the cat, I'm wondering if the cat turned out to be a symbolism, I guess, or what's going on here? Did you ever figure this out?
Well, the only thing I could make out is that it was my understanding of like a karmic experience where I got to be on both sides of an experience.
Okay.
So I took the life of the cat, and then the cat took my life.
Wow. And you died by a cat. That's crazy. Okay.
I know.
so you keep having these experiences. Huh.
Yeah, I was just having them spontaneously, and I never connected any of these experiences with a call to be on a shamanic path. It wasn't until later that I started studying with the shaman at that place, but and I seem to have a knack for being able to get into the altered state pretty easily. But I didn't study with her for very long. And then some time went by, and I ended up studying with this man named Hank Wesselman, which is where I learned all the Hawaiian and Polynesian mysticism and healing techniques.
Mm-hmm.
And when I worked with Hank, then I was able to make sense of those earlier experiences and put everything into perspective and kind of understand, like, oh, that was probably my call to do this work. But what was interesting is that I actually dreamed of Hank before I met him, a nighttime dream, which was a really cool experience. So when I first met him and he stood up and took his glasses off, I was like, oh man, that's the dude in my dream. That was the guy. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I bet. Now, what does it mean? Just out of curiosity, what do you think it means when you see things in your dreams like hooded beings? Not beings, but like just hooded people that are wearing hoods. I've had dreams, and other people I know have had dreams. 2 other people I know have had dreams of them wearing like brown hoods and cloaks and talking to other people that are wearing them. And it's like, I don't know if it's the mind. It can't be just the mind, because it was such a coincidence when I talked to one person about it, and then like 2 weeks later, another one says something about it. And then I remember having a dream about it, and we're all in each other's life in some form or fashion too. I wonder what that's about.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I mean, I would take it from the symbolic. What does that symbol represent to you? Like, what do you think of when you think of these hooded beings?
I don't know. I think of like some type of tribe, brotherhood, society, or I don't know, something like that. Or sometimes I feel like there's some type of higher secret almost that they're trying to figure out or something. I don't know. That's what I feel when I think about it. But
okay. Well, maybe that's what it represents then, is just your desire to learn these higher secrets, your desire to feel a community or a connection with people who are doing the same thing, maybe something along those lines.
Really? Cool.
I don't know.
Could be.
You would be the best one to decide, but those are just my quick thoughts. Okay.
All right. Fair enough. Well, I figured that since you had all these experiences that you might just be an expert shaman and know everything about it, all of it. Right. So,
well,
whatever.
I mean, the whole idea is that like you are the best interpreter of those experiences, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And then it's about learning the language of symbolism. What do these symbols represent to you? I mean, you can use the archetypes. There's, archetypal meanings behind a lot of symbols, and you can start there. But when you start if you start studying shamanism and getting to know this terrain in the Dreamtime, then you can start talking directly to the symbols and ask them what they mean.
Yeah.
Like you can go to the hooded guy and say, "Who are you?"
Yeah. Okay. We'll do that next time. Actually, look, we're almost through this. All right. Shortest break of the night. We'll be right back. I promise. Shortest one.
You are listening to KTLK Digital Broadcasting, the Fringe FM, where you can catch the secret teachings with Ryan Gable 5 nights a week after Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you are interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
This is Jason Lindgren from Crow 777 Radio, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
I'm Clyde Lewis. You're listening to The Fringe FM.
Please listen. Now is not the time to fear. When your immune system is strong, shields up. You have very little worries. If your immune system is compromised, you're susceptible to all viruses. I say shields up and no fear. Try Heart Love from GetTheTea.com. Heart Love has a special ingredient called allicin. It comes from the healing part of the garlic plant. No garlic breath, no garlic leaking out your pores, just pure immune-building ingredients that gets your shields up. Heart Love is a unique blend of herbs that loves to build you up. Google garlic and know the benefits. One Heart Love pill is equal to 20 cloves of garlic. 20 cloves! Shields up. You've heard of our Life Change Cleansing Tea at GetTheTea.com. Now try Heart Love. And by the way, take your blood pressure and watch weekly what happens. So here's how to purchase. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com and build your shields. That's GetTheTea.com. Mention Ray in the coupon code and hit apply and receive free shipping.
Astral travel, magic, mysticism, and manifestation. What used to be heresy should be understood as our birthright. These are some of the topics we discuss on Lighting the Void, where we take you deep into the unknown. There are guest interviews, live unscreened calls, and me, Joe Root. Come join our family of explorers of consciousness, weeknights at 9 p.m. Pacific time to 11, right here on KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
So this is what I'm talking about right here, right? The rave music. It's got a drum, it's got a beat. And if you take just a little bit of acid and you have a bunch of people, the next thing you know, you'll turn into a human wave. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, our guest, Wendy Halley. You haven't been to a rave party, have you?
I have not, actually.
It's fun. But
I bet it's fun.
Get to do that stuff anymore because, you know, the way things are right now. However, for a shaman, I would think that with the way things are right now, it's probably pretty good because you can still go out in nature. You can still go inside yourself and do all these different things. We've been trying to do that with the patrons. We have a astral travel group where we do, we kind of went back to the Bob Monroe thing and started with that. I don't know if you're familiar with Robert Monroe, but he saw hooded figures too in his like second and third book. But what he found out was, and that's what we were talking about before the break, but what he found out is that those hooded figures that came through and assisted him were just him. Like his future self or higher self or something assisting him. Isn't that weird?
No, it sounds good.
Sounds
makes
right.
Sense.
Yeah, compared to your story,
exactly.
doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
my strange story.
Now, with these past life things, how did it progress from there, though? So you had like all these past life experiences where you went through an electric chair, you got stabbed with a scarab in the throat. That's what you said, right?
No, it got shoved in my throat.
It got shoved in your throat. Okay.
Yeah. And then
a scarab beetle.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God, that's crazy. And you felt all of that too, didn't you?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it felt pretty real. And I was giving blow by blows to the apprentice as they were happening. I was just kind of telling her, reporting what I was seeing in my mind's eye.
And then death by cat.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well,
kind of nuts.
It could be worse, right? Like I'm just saying, look at the bright side. You could be like this woman, and I don't know if you heard about that woman in Michigan. They found her like still breathing. She was 20 years old, and they zipped her up pretty much.
Oh, in the morgue.
Yeah, put her in the morgue, and she woke up. Yeah.
That's a bad day.
Yeah. Yeah. But they didn't explain it to how does somebody stop breathing? You don't get any vitals from them, and 2 hours later they wake up. Like, yeah, I don't think science. I love science, but there's something that they're missing there, because that's happened, and not quite a few times, but I'd say once every 6 years somebody wakes up in a body bag going, "What the hell?" Like,
no, I've definitely heard stories like that. It's unsettling for sure.
Yeah, but we don't ever think. I don't know why I'm taking a dark turn here, but we don't ever think that would happen to us, do we? No, I'm special. That wouldn't happen to me.
It probably won't happen to you.
Probably. Probability says that it won't, and I'm going to hope that it doesn't, and I don't want to go down that dark road. Speaking of which, why do I go down the dark road? You know what we'll do? Next time, I want to continue with this. Next time, I'll talk to you about the dark stuff, because I know you want to talk about that too, don't you?
I love talking about the dark stuff.
Yeah.
I do. I think that would be great. My perspective is probably a little different than a lot of other people's perspective on all of that. So be cool to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can get to how you got into, so after that, you really got into the shamanism. I would be sold too at that point, for sure.
Yeah. Well, it was, but like I said, it was all kind of accidental. It was not intentional. I didn't, I had read Hank's books. I was really intrigued by them, Hank Wesselman's books, and I highly recommend them to the listeners out there if you haven't read them. The Spirit Walker trilogy, they're all about his spontaneous visionary experiences, and he ends up in the body of someone in the future, one of his descendants. And he suspects it's like 5,000 years in the future. So you get a kind of a glimpse of a possible future on planet Earth, which doesn't look too promising.
What did it look? Oh man, I'm gonna have to read it.
No, it's a really cool read. No, it's just there's not a lot of people.
Night Stalker, you got to call in. What is that? A safety coffin? So he dropped a picture after I was talking about being buried alive. Night Stalker drops a picture in the chat room of a guy in a coffin with a rope, I guess. I guess he's calling it a safety coffin. Just in case you wake up, you can yank on that rope and it opens the coffin.
There's probably a bell. There's a bell
something.
on the end, so you could get somebody's attention. They used to do that back in the olden times.
Okay.
Because they did bury people alive by accident quite frequently, I guess.
Yeah, because we didn't really have modern medicine. Like, is that a weak pulse? I don't know. What's a pulse? Just bury him.
Looks
he'll wake
dead
up.
to me. Yeah.
Right. So the dark stuff. Here's the thing. Here's what I want to ask you. I think you might be able to help me with this. So when I got into this doing the out of body experience stuff. I just got through telling you about Robert Monroe, all that. I actually had a real kind of local out of body experience where I saw myself sleeping, etc. It was real time, unlike any other dream I've ever had. Ever. It wasn't a dream. It just wasn't.
Right.
The next time I tried that, I got halfway out. My legs were still stuck, and these little black blobby Rorschach looking things, and they just kind of came down and pushed me back in my body. Now, what I'll tell you is that I was in some kind of weird state of mind, trying to get out, very frustrated, almost as if I was banging my head against a coffin door, trying to get out. And then I realized, I'm powerful for some reason. I just told myself, I'm powerful, I can get out. So I said, I command you to release me by life and light. And I don't know why I even said that. It didn't even go through my brain before I said it. And then I started coming out, and I got out halfway. My legs were stuck, and then these little black blobby things just pushed me back in. All of this happened in about 10 seconds. Probably less than that.
Okay.
What, if that happened to you, what would you think was going on?
The black blobby things, huh?
They just, I mean, it happened so quick. They were just like almost transparent, not totally transparent. What is that? Translucent shadows that had no form, or they just, I didn't even really feel them shove me. It's almost like they just attacked me really fast, like, woof, and then I'm back in my body. It was really weird.
Huh. Well, I mean, what I would do if something like that happened to me is I would probably go and investigate it. I would go into a shamanic trance state and go back to the experience and go and communicate with those blobby things to see what they're all about. See what they represent.
And okay, so
you can re-enter dream states or re-enter, go back to different experiences and like re-enter dreams or experiences.
Have you had an out-of-body experience, or you consider them the same thing?
Not like I haven't had one like that, like a traditional where you're in like right up above your body, looking down at your body, or I haven't had that kind of an experience.
Okay. Well, you've still had some pretty profound ones, though. I would say looking through someone else's eyes during an execution, all of the stuff you went through, that is so
a lot
intense.
of death experiences. Very trippy.
All of these books you wrote to him. Go ahead. I was jumping quick. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no. That the I was just going to say that book, Slaying the Mouse, the whole book is a collection of my shamanic experiences connecting with a young man who was in a coma, and it's over like a 9-month period. And so my kind of trying to help him make sense of his experience, and it was a really powerful experience for me because I was pretty green as a shamanic apprentice. It was back in 2003, and I learned a whole bunch. Like, one of the biggest things I learned was the difference between healing and curing. And this poor guy who was he just mysteriously slipped into a deep coma, and they didn't know why. They never figured out why he slipped into that coma.
Well, I just dropped the audiobook and the link to the audiobook in the chat room if you guys want to check that out. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's trippy. And then there's a whole bunch of really cool coincidental experiences that happen in there. And it was really just a really powerful experience. I keep saying that, but so most of the narrative takes place in the Dreamtime. So it's like you're hanging out with me and my spirit helpers.
Uh-huh.
And then there are the actual email messages from his family letting you know what's happening in physical reality sprinkled throughout the narrative.
Whoa. Okay. So was he, and forgive me because I'm a little lost here, was he stuck there trying to get out of because the way I'm looking at this, on the cover, it shows like a man in front of a labyrinth, and it made me think about that movie. I don't know what it's called, not Afterlife, but Waking Life, where the guy keeps waking up in a dream and he's like, man, I might be dead or something. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's fascinating.
No, I saw it a long time ago. But yeah, he was kind of in this in between state where he was not physically, he wasn't in the physical world, but he didn't quite know where he was. He was really confused. He didn't know what was happening to him. And it turned out he had this tremendous fear, and that's what was kind of keeping him in this limbo state. And it's not until he slays the mouse that he is able to heal that fear and then move on from there.
That's interesting. I gotta get this book now. I'm a big audiobook fan here too. And you know what? I was just about to ask you, I was like, hey, do you got some beats that we could listen to and have these experiences? And you sure do. You got them right there on your website. Binaural beats for shamanic journeying, the shamanic drum beat, and your books, the Slaying the Mouse, The Magical Path. And you did a children's book too. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was my first book. That one's all about remembering that you have a shiny spirit living in your heart.
Oh, I was just talking about that the other day with a really good friend of mine, because she does such a good art. And I was like, you know what? You ought to do children's books. And I was thinking, that's actually something that does make a difference, right? Teach them a story like that, something that'll stay with them. Because they're going to grow up.
That's certainly the hope, yeah.
Yeah, because they're going to grow up and have to deal with a man eventually. So maybe they'll remember that story.
Yeah, that was certainly the hope when I wrote it.
And
that was one of those stories that just kind of fell out of the sky. It was the quickest writing I've ever done. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's really cool though. I think that's amazing that you did that actually. So how did you get into the podcasting? Tell me about that, your podcast. What made you jump into doing that?
It's kind of like a full circle thing. When I was an undergraduate at the University of Arizona, I worked at one of my majors was media arts. So it was video and print journalism. So I learned how to run audio, how to run camera, direct television, all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I got far away from it, and then the whole podcast world broke open and took off, and I thought, yeah, I wanted to be able to do something for folks that was free, to be able to offer a service that people didn't have to pay for.
Right.
And so I got to lean on those, like brush off those old skills and bring them into the 21st century where everything's digital. Back when I was learning, it wasn't digital.
Did you have the tape that you had to cut even on audio and stuff? I was watching Phil Hendry do that. That's funny. That's cool looking though.
Old school. Yep.
Well, so how do you think I'm doing then? If you went to school for it, am I doing all right?
I think you're doing a great job, Joe. Really?
Self-taught, 100%.
Yeah. No, I mean that's what we're all kind of doing anyway. Like, I taught myself how to edit audio in a digital platform. That's a totally new world. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a really good podcast, actually. You guys should check it out. Subscribe to it.
Thank you.
You try to do like one show a week or one show a month, or how do you do it?
Yeah, I end up doing. I drop an episode like once every 3 weeks, and I'm so busy.
Yeah.
At the wellness center, man, I don't. I wish I could do more because I really enjoy doing it. So I'm on a break now. I'll be starting season 3 in October probably. I'll be starting to drop episodes again.
Oh, that's cool. Well, listen, I'm glad you came on the broadcast. I think we should do it again. But you know what? Now that we got like a few minutes here, maybe we could do this again and you could like tease people about it. Because I do want to talk to you about the dark side. You said that you have a different interpretation of it. Can you break that down in a couple of sentences maybe, or just tell me what you think?
So I've investigated. I've done a lot of what Hank would call shamanic field work, where you go out into the Dreamtime and you explore because it's vast. There's so many places you can go and so many things you can explore. So one of the questions I asked was about evil.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to understand the nature of evil, and I have not seen any evidence that there is an evil force out there.
Really?
Yes, I have not seen any evidence of it. I have seen, though, that there is, I mean, humans can be really crazy evil to each other. That's where I've seen evidence of evil. But as far as an external source of evil, I have not seen any evidence of it. I mean, I could be wrong, but I've looked, and I've asked to help me understand that, and and I've had what I've come to discover is that it really seems to be getting back to the beginning of our conversation about perception. If you have a framework where you believe evil exists, then that's the filter you're going to run your experiences through.
Yeah. It makes you wonder about the collective too, the fact that we all believe something, therefore it exists. Are we actually creating these realities? I know Rupert
interpreting
Sheldrake,
it that way. Yeah.
yeah.
It's because bad shit's going to happen. So it's I don't know. Well, I mean, what do you think of that as far as a tease goes?
That's a pretty good one, because most people are going to be like, what? Most people that listen to this, like, there's no evil. Well, in the spirit realms,
not there's dark and there's light. That's what I was shown. There's dark and there's light in the physical universe. It's and the dreaming of the physical universe. There's dark and there's light, but I haven't seen other than humans.
well, we got to do, you know what? I don't know if you're familiar with Skeptico podcast, but I did a show called The Nature of Evil with him. He wrote a book about it, the host, and for some reason, Alex Sikaris, I almost forgot his name, as a buddy of mine too. And we had a long discussion about that, because some people say, what's perception or this or that, but he was genuinely curious about it like you were. But to be able to explore it in the spirit realms, that's something else too. That's something else entirely. Like you were trying to find out, does the evil like have a spiritual, an actual like metaphysical or spiritual or conscious nature to it before it exists in the physical world?
Yep, that's what I was looking for.
Wow. All right. Well,
what did your buddy find out?
Well, he believes that he's kind of the opposite. He totally believes that it's real. You'd have to go back and listen to all of it, but that there is some kind of agenda to downplay that there's no evil, and it's just kind of what you're saying, like perception. But I don't think.
But the opposite.
I don't think he took any trips to the spirit realm, although I haven't read the book all the way yet, so I don't know yet. It's a good discussion to have, especially around these times when everything gets all spooky, right? So
no, we haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, maybe we can get Pacho. We can have you back on if you can handle the late night again. Can you handle that?
Well, you're East Coast time now too. You're right in the next state.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. I'm in Vermont.
Vermont, cool. Well, listen, I do got to get out of here because the next broadcast is coming up. I really do appreciate you coming on the show. It was a fantastic discussion.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, Joe. I really, really had a good time. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And you guys, go check it out, lucidpathwellness.com. Also, go check out the podcast, Lucid Café. It's really good. And you guys know how picky I am about shows and podcasts and stuff. And please don't copy the show without written permission. Music is by Chronix and Steezy. Stevie, thanks to Pacho and the patrons. Gotta go. See you tomorrow night. Friday night open lines. Good night.